Hello, welcome to Three Crows Runes. My name is Jen. Let's do some rune readings. Today we are doing readings that are really general. We're basically doing what do you need to know the most right now, and this is for whenever you find this reading. Most of the pick a card ones are basically like that on this channel. Like whenever you find it, that's the message will be for you then. However, this is like specifically like really like whenever you find this reading, what do you need to know the most right now? This is, I'm going to be using the Earth Magic Oracle cards. I've never used them in a video before, and I'm looking forward to playing with them with you. And I'm also using some handmade clay Elder Futhark runes. These are made out of DOS clay, if you want to know. And I made them myself. So just basically, this is the day. We're just going to do this. And let's see what we need to know and what's going to come out. Because I'm just like, I was thinking, what are we going to do today? And it's like, you know what? I'm at a loss. I'm going to let them choose. So I grabbed a deck I haven't played with before, really. And I'm using these runes that I made and lost. So let's just see what we need to know. So I will put the timestamps in the description. We have card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, and card number 4. And I will see you at the readings. Bye! Hello, card number 1 people. So let's get started by turning this card over. And again, this is the Earth Magic deck. I've just not played with this much, so let's have a look. Desert, Vision Quest. Okay, so what you need to know right now, card number 1 people, is that you're actually sort of in a situation where I'm going to start laying down the runes for this reading while we're doing that. You're actually looking to either bring yourself out on a kind of a vision quest as far as just like heading, yeah, I'm seeing this form as I'm putting down the runes, heading out into where there aren't any people and dealing with that. And seeing what comes to you. Hang on a second. I'm just seeing this unfold. Yeah, that's good. And seeing what happens with that. Basically, because right now where you're at, central issue for this card number 1 people is Manas, which is the rune of humanity, and your part in it. So it's basically your focus right now seems to be on finding that sense of belonging that maybe you didn't have, because it seems to me like you have been disarmed recently. We have Tivaz reversed. Tivaz is Tyr's rune. Tyr is the warrior god, and even though he does have to do with taking care of what needs to be taken care of and tending to needs and duties and responsibilities, I'm seeing this in terms of the context of the path line, where something has disarmed you, where you felt like you were forced like to surrender to a thing that was happening. You were forced to drop your sword, and maybe even just a sense of, I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to have this conflict anymore. This is ridiculous. And you're turning your focus inward on taking care of the duties and responsibilities that you have to yourself. So that leads us up to here. It's like, okay, well, what's this about? And it's kind of like, I want to find my sense of belonging. I want to find where I feel I belong, and I want to feel like I can face each other and they will match me, you know, kind of thing. So that's sort of your focus. You may even be starting from there where you're like, okay, I'm going to sort of hone this down until I start with that. It's like I have a few people where it's like that, and I have a few situations where it's like that, where I do feel that I am, you know, in a sense of, I do have that sense of belonging with this. So let's see where we can go from there. But given the card, I'm seeing this sort of like, this is sort of where we're going to start from, and we're going to move out from there and see about, you know, what else there is, because we don't want to do this anymore. I keep hearing like the word betrayal as far as this leading up rune goes, where this was basically because of something that has felt like a betrayal, where you had your sword and thrown out of your hand or something. And so, you know, that's sort of where we're dealing with it, and that's why you had to like hone it down to a smaller circle where you feel that you belong, because you don't feel that you belong out where that circle is where you had that betrayal. For some of you, maybe that's what the situation is. What is going to help you in this moment where you're like, I have to find, you know, a place where I'm going to feel that sense of belonging more than I had before? So we have Laguz reversed. Laguz is the rune of water, and this has to do with emotion, intuition, heart, and flow. And it's reversed on the helping line. So I'm going to read this a few ways. First of all, it's inner intuition and sort of subconscious intuitions. So I would read this as dreams. I would read this as intuition. Also, you are going to be experiencing some unpleasant emotions. Let those happen. Surf them if you have to, where you're like, I'm acknowledging these and I honor these, but I'm just going to let them be like the river and let them flow so that they will flow clear eventually. And also just like let it be weather and just, be atop that and sort of observing it and acknowledging and feeling it and letting yourself honor that, but also letting it flow. Like not identifying with it or clinging to it, just letting it flow and be. So that's going to help. There was another thing I was thinking about that. I think that's mostly the thing, though. What isn't going to help is we have Uber's Reversed, which is the Rune of the Wild Ox. This is basically almost the same feel as this. So there is that sense of being disarmed, being unseated, being made to surrender to something that you didn't consent to, not being able to resist this. And this is basically leading directly from that. So it's Uruz, it's the Aurochs, it's strength and health, but when it's reversed in the lower line especially, it's like that negative aspect of, you're just fixating on those feelings of having been made weak, those feelings of having been made unable to resist what happened, and just basically like, sorry, I had an image of like cow tipping, which I don't think is actually a thing ultimately, but because I think didn't they disprove that nobody was actually doing that at some point, but it just became a thing that everybody believed for a while. Anyway, I'm not going to debate that. So I thought it was completely outside of my ken. So let's go back up to if that starts to be the case where you're letting this is actually dragging you down, because this is dragging you down because this is dragging you down, and this is the way that this continues to drag you down. Bring yourself back up to where you are letting the emotions about that be acknowledged and honored, but also letting them flow. So your next step on the path line, and what is pinning the entire reading, is this crossing of the threshold. Because, this is still kind of a comfort zone kind of thing. This is where you were, and like when you chunk it down, it's smaller and you're still where you're comfortable. It's like, if you were, how can I put this? You're in like an apartment building and you think everybody in the apartment building is great and your friend and everything, and then all of a sudden somebody, next door starts doing something that's really crappy to you, and you sort of put yourself in the apartment. It's like, I'm not going out anymore. But that's not good, and you can't be like that because you have to go out. And it's unfortunate that you felt betrayed, but you have to continue to live. So we need to cross a threshold where we're going to like move outside of what we're used to, and step outside of that. So we have Thurisaz, which is the rune of the Thorn, the Giant, the Gateway. It's the challenge rune, and it is upright, so it's an open door. And this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be crossing the threshold into new ground, because where you were before was where this happened, and you're sort of a bit traumatized by that. But it's sort of like you have to move outside of that in order to see what you need to see. So that's what's pinning this entire reading, is where you're going with that is stepping outside of that so that you can get some messaging from the universe that isn't getting glossed over by the fact that you're seeing it every day. So what's going to help you? We have Fehu Reversed. Fehu is the rune of wealth and worth. This is not money. This is cattle. So this is the wealth that you tend. This is whatever it is in your life that whenever you are taking care of it gives your life meaning and worth. So it's when it's reversed on the upper line, it's inner worth. So it's confidence. It's self-esteem. And there may also be a sense of worries about that you're questioning it. You're questioning maybe the sense of worth that you had. So that's something that you're going to be holding in your hand as you walk through this gateway. But at the same time, like, have that sense of your worth and what you are worth and your value in the universe, because you're here, you belong, you're essential, you're critical. And so carry that with you as you move through the door, even while you question it, because it's always important to be questioning what you've been doing and all that kind of thing. It's always important to have that. Most people do that, where they're like, okay, but maybe I should be keeping an eye on what I'm doing and making sure that I'm not doing anything that is hurting people, because that's not good, and most of us don't want that. And the ones who do want that probably aren't watching this video. So basically that's what's going to help you, is as you move through the door, move through it with humility and humbleness, but also knowing your worth and knowing that you're not worthy of abuse. You're worth more than that. You are of worth. You are essential in the universe. So how can things be better for you in that? So we're stepping through the door to find out. What won't help you is we have Gabo, which is the rune of the gift. This is an exchange. This is agreements, decisions, plans, and goals. This also ties into this because it's also one-on-one interactions. So this may also reflect from this. This may also be part of that trauma, but it's also obligations to that old world that you're stepping out of. You may be worried, like, I'm leaving obligations that are there, and you may even be worried about the obligations that you're leaving that have to do with the few people that you had left that you trusted. But they are rooting for you, so they saw you to the door, so you don't have to worry about that. They know you're doing this thing. But you are going to worry about it to a certain extent, in that this shows up here, and it is what would drag you down as you move forward into this doorway. So if you start to worry about that, bring yourself back up. So it's like, no, this is a thing that I'm doing. My friends are with me on this, in terms of they're not with me, but they're cheering me on as I step through this door into this new world where I'm going to get a better view and get a better idea and overview of what's going on, so that I can be better and have a better world around me that I can be a part of. What your next step is on the pathline, we have Hagalaz, which is the rune of the hailstorm. This has to do with chaos and things that are out of your control, but also nature and your nature, and just basically letting nature happen, and how you too are a force of nature. So as you come through here, you're going to find yourself in a very natural situation where there is that going on, where there are things that are out of your control, but you are realizing that you are a part of this. Like, you are definitely you are nature also, and seeing that you are a part of all of that and a part of nature, and that you too are a force of nature, is something that you're going to be able to, and this is sort of going to bring you into a certain amount of your power as well, which you maybe didn't know that you had up until this point, because this seems very directed. This seems very held in the hand, whereas this is, you're stepping into your true nature, and you realize your power isn't just what you can pick up and hold in your hand. Your power is you. What is going to help you the most with that is what you learn about yourself in that situation. And that's a very important lesson, basically. So, and it's why we go on vision quests. So to reclaim and to re-recognize and to reclaim the power that is who we are. What is going to help you is we have Pertho reversed. Pertho is the rune of the lot box. This has to do with surprises and fate. What's in the lot box was always in the lot box. So the surprises that happen are what was always there. When it's reversed on the upper line, it refers to inner. So this is basically surprises about yourself, but these are revelations about yourself that were always the case. And that's going to help you. And this actually leads from your knowing your worth and feeling like, okay, but you know what? I'm worth more than somebody who is going to be readily abused. I don't want that, and nobody should want that. And I'm worth better treatment. And I'm worth more to the world than somebody who's just here to be a doormat and kicked around and disarmed and made to feel like I don't have power and made to feel like I have to surrender to something against my will. It's like, no, I'm worth more than that. And so you're basically now finding this out. You stepped into where you realize your true nature and the power that comes with that. And you're finding out things about yourself that are absolutely true and that reunite you, if you've ever been united with it, with your true power. What isn't going to help is we have Isa. Isa's the rune of ice. This is the rune of stillness and standstill. If it was in an upper line, the path line or the upper line, I would say it's the stillness through which clarity comes, but I'm really seeing this more along the lines of this. You may be tempted to freeze. When you step out into just the wildness, you're going to be like, you may be tempted to just freeze and just have all of this coming down on your head with this, all the obligations and this sense of, I was betrayed before. That's not going to help you. Bring yourself back up to, you've already brought yourself back up to, I'm worth it. I'm worthy to be in the world and not be abused and not to be, unseated and treated like this. So remember what you're learning about yourself, like what you're seeing about yourself as you step out into this wildness. It's like that I too am of the wildness, and that I too have, this wild nature, and there's a truth of my true nature that I hadn't really expressed before. And your last rune on the path line is Berkana, which is the rune of the birch tree, and this has to do with beginnings and birth. This is you beginning again. This is your new beginning, your new rebirth, where you are acknowledging this power and this true nature that you have, where you are a force of nature as well. So that, card number 1, people, is your reading for What Do You Need to Know right now. I wish you all the best with this, and I wish you a lovely day or evening. Take care till next time. Bye. Hello, card number 2, people. Welcome, welcome. Let's get started by turning this card and seeing what it is that you need to know the most right now. Ocean, ebb and flow. That's interesting because the first reading I did was desert. So that's kind of neat. It's like we're bouncing to opposites. Basically, just remembering that things are... What is it that Alan Watts says? The thing about it is, like, whatever it is that always goes with something else, you can't destroy either one of them because they go with each other. So, like, ebb and flow, hill and valley, what are the other, dark and light, things like that. So it's just basically, and then he goes on with that wonderful with his whimsical delivery about how, but the game that people play is, it's like, oh no, one might win kind of thing. And so it's like, oh no, ebb might win, but I want flow to win, and ebb mustn't win. But it's always going to be, it's always going to be one and the other. They go together. So, but also just remembering that there is always that. I mean, there is the situation where if you're like a creative person, there are going to be times when you're not going to be as creative, and not to beat yourself up about that, because that's, look at the year, like okay, sometimes you're in a place where things can grow all year, but different things grow at different times. But if you're in like the Northern Hemisphere, like I am, where you have there's the 4 seasons where, there's a growing season, and then in the winter, generally things aren't outside growing, unless it's like a pine tree or something. So you are going to have that ebb and flow in life, and why would you be different? So to not beat yourself up over your yin time when you want to be doing yang all the time, because let's not always be doing yang. You have to inhale. So I'm going to lay out the runes for this reading. I like that as your center rune. I think that's lovely. I'm saying that right now. What the rune that pins the entire reading in this particular reading is lovely. Very happy about it. Oh, that was in exactly the same spot last reading. Okay. Your central issue, card number 2, people, is Othala. Othala is the rune of the home and the homeland. This has to do with sanctuary, solace, where you feel safe, where you feel protected, where you feel that you can be who you are. It's your comfort zone. That kind of thing. So you're basically concerned about that. And maybe because you're concerned about that, you're worried about the way that things, even in one's comfort zone, ebb and flow. Even like there are yin times and yang times. There's yin activity and yang activity. Leading up to this is beautiful because this is flow. So you may be in an ebb time at this point and be worried about that because you've just come from a flow time. And now you're like, okay, I'm comfortable and I don't feel like doing what I was doing when I was in a flow time. Leading up to this, we have Lagos, which is the rune of flow. It's emotion, intuition, heart, and flow. But in the context of this reading, I'm seeing this as things were flowing forward, and now you're sort of pooling in like in a comfort zone. And that's okay. You're allowed to do that. Rest, recover, recuperate, replenish. And I don't know why these leaves won't sit. I do, but I can't wrestle them into shape. So that's your concern at this point, but it's what you're coming to terms with, is that sometimes you're not always going to be yang, basically. Or in this case, this is yin, but it's like yin yang. It's an outward flow. It's the flow, but you're going back into an inner sort of thing at this point. What is going to help you is basically stand up for yourself in this. Like, remember that you can protect yourself even when you're doing this. You can support yourself even when you're doing this. You don't have to be very outer for, for everything to be okay. This is your inner time. So you're looking for your inner support. You're looking for your inner protection. We have algae, which is the rune of the elk. So this has to do with, or the moose, if you're in North America. It's protection and support. And it's reversed on the upper line, which is inner. So you're in the home now. You're sort of in the rest stage kind of thing. And you're feeling like, okay, I'm good. Just look to your inner support, whatever that is for you, but also that you can take care of yourself in this period of time. And that's really probably what you want to do in this point, because if you're not doing the outer flow thing, maybe that's your sign to recuperate, recover, replenish, and that's how you're supporting yourself. What isn't going to help you is we have Pertho, the rune of the lot box. This has to do with surprises and fate. I think that's probably the thing. It's that whole endorphin rush of the new thing. And when you're out doing the outer flow thing, and when you're doing the outer thing, there was always something new. There was always something exciting, and you're missing it. And this is not the time for that. And you can find these things within. In fact, you will be finding things within as you replenish. And you may even be worried in this comfort time. So first of all, that was what the first thing is, because you're worried about, where are my surprises? But secondly, you may be worried about surprises because you are huddling down. You're hunkering down at this point and replenishing and recovering and recuperating and replenishing. I already said that. But it's like maybe you don't want to see any new surprises right now. You want to be just huddled. And if that starts to be the case, just remind yourself that you can protect yourself even if something does come up. You are in a safe space. You are in a comfort zone. And so even if a surprise does happen, you're in a good place to deal with it because you feel comfortable and secure. Your next step on the path line, however, is Vunyo, which is the rune of joy. And this is why I was saying, it's like, I love what's pinning your reading. It's like what this is going to be all about, this whole thing of taking advantage of the yin time, is to reconnect with your joy. And what's going to help you with that is we have Sovilo, which is the rune of the sun. This has to do with source energy. This has to do with tapping into whatever it is that whenever you access it or do it, always replenishes you and always gives you energy and always basically nourishes you. And so, like, whether this is walks in nature or listening to music or creating something, this is what you want to have on hand, and that's going to help you restore your joy and replenish your joy. What isn't going to help is, and this is really leading from this, it's like I'm not out in things and yet they keep trying to find me. There may be a sense of, is this going to be an impossible challenge? This whole thing about that I need to replenish and find joy. And I feel like I've been beat down quite a lot to the point where I've had to do this, where I'm replenishing and I'm finding reasons that I don't want to go back out because I've been hurt out there. And so there's this sense of like this impossible challenge. We have Thurzaz reversed, which is the challenge rune. It's the thorn, the giant gateway, the thorn, the giant, the gateway, and this is reversed in the lower line. So these surprises that keep hitting me, and then it's like, how do I even deal with this? I'm just trying to find my joy again. Same answer, actually, which is to tap into the things that always bring you joy, to tap into things that always bring you nourishment and energy and replenishment. And that will help you connect with the joy, which is really the key to this whole thing. Your next step on the path line, we have Berkana, which is the rune of the birch tree. This has to do with beginnings and birth. So once you've reconnected with your joy, you'll be ready to start again. You'll be ready to start moving back out into the outer flow. And so this was your ebb time. This is like, good, we're going to draw back and so we can actually replenish and then come back in with a new wave. And that's what you're doing at this stage after you've reconnected with joy and the things that energize you. What's going to help you there is that you will have developed a really nice solidity while you were here, where you're actually really restoring your strength. We have Uruz, which is the wild ox. This has to do with strength and health, and the ability to resist things, like to be able to stand up in the storm. So we have, as you are stepping back out again, as you're rebirthing yourself, you have that solidity, you have that strength, and you've restored your health on many, many levels by doing that. So that's definitely what's going to help you there, is that ability to just be strong. And it's like a little birch tree. is strong enough to come up, and even though it's a skinny little tree and it grows quickly, it's still strong enough to withstand what's blowing at it. But that's kind of a weird little mix. But you're strong. Do not doubt your strength. Remember how strong you are. What isn't going to help? We have Isa, which is the rune of ice. This sort of follows this fear path of like, what if something surprising happens? What if I can't handle it? And then you freeze. So try not to freeze when you're going back out. You may be tempted to, because you don't have the momentum that you had when you were flowing. Because that's one of the things that worry you about that. It's like, where's my momentum? And then you were able to settle into that, replenish, restore. And then now you're starting again. It's like, I have no momentum. I can't move forward the way I was. It's like, but also just freezing because you're worried about the challenges that are out there. If that starts to be the case, just remind yourself how strong you are. You were able to replenish yourself and get yourself really, really strong again. And now that you're rebirthing into the world, that strength is coming with you. You're rebirthing in a very strong way. And what this is going to lead you to by the end of this reading, and what the outcome rune of this reading is, you'll be able to actually really work on shaping things. Once you're back out in flow mode, you're really going to be taking things in hand and shaping things into having things around you that are the shape that you want them to be. And even maybe leaving a legacy of a certain kind, but just like working towards that. It's Ingvaz, it's Ing's rune. Ing is the fertility god. This has to do with active creation. So working with what you have to create what you can, and you're getting right back to creating things. So this, like, we're going from flow to flow, basically. Even though these are both like this is yin and this is yang, if you want to categorize them that way, but it's kind of like you were in the flow mode, and then suddenly you're in this not flow mode, in the ebb mode, where you're regathering and replenishing and restoring. So, and then you go through that, and then you're rebirthed and you're back out in flow mode, assuming that you're going to have that, where you're going to be flowing and working. You're going to be like yang, yin, 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 yang, 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 yin, yin, yin. Off you go like the ocean. So that card number 2, people, is your reading for what you need to know right now. I wish you all the best with this, and I wish you a lovely day or evening. Take care till next time. Bye. Hello, card number 3, people. Let's get started by turning this card and seeing what it is that we need to know right now. Gaia, nurturing. So, let yourself, card number 3, people, let yourself surrender to the earth energies and let that replenish and restore you and heal you. There is that sort of sense of the earth energies wanting to nurture you and wanting to heal you and draw away from you what is not good for you, and helping you to breathe and bring into yourself the things that are good for you. So let's get some runes down and get some clarity on that message. Ooh. That's one of my very currently long hair at the moment that I accidentally dragged into the shot. Let's lay down the entire half rack and we'll see what it is we need to know in this moment. T-Boz likes to be reversed today. Okay, your central issue. Oops. Let me just actually get on this chair properly. Card number 3, people, is Avaz. Avaz is the rune of the horse. This has to do with movement and also spirit. Why is this so high up? Let's bring this down. So you're moving forward. You really want to have that gallop going on. Right now you're sort of just rushing. And you want to be. This is kind of like, go, go, go. However, you've recently had a revelation. There's been something that's happened with Pertho, which is the rune of the lot box. This has to do with surprises and fate. Whatever fate is for you. And it's something that was revealed, but it was something that was always the case that you didn't know about. So, because whatever was in the lot box was already in the lot box, and when the lot box opened, you're like, oh, maybe it's a surprise to you, but it was already there. So something like that has happened, which has put the fire under you as far as I have to move. I have to really, really gallop now. You are letting your spirit carry you, which is important. Whatever spirit is for you is what is carrying you forward on this. Or you may, I'm getting this sense of, it's a horse. So maybe the horse of you got a bit spooked and is like running and needing a kind of you're needing a nurturing. Like there's a part of you that you need to nurture because right now you just want to run. So that's interesting. So let's get what's going to help you. So what's going to help you, we have Uruz, which is the rune of the wild ox. Don't forget that you are strong. And I like how their legs are both echoing each other here. It's like even though you feel like a scared horse right now, or just even a spurred upon horse, where you feel like I just have to move at this point, I really have to just like move. There's a reminder of how strong you are. This is strength and health and stubbornness and like being able to stand up and withstand and resist things. But you just basically, so just remember that you are strong. If there is that element of the frightened horse going on, if whatever this was spurred you to move forward and like with your spirit, like wanting to move forward with a thing, that's okay, but try not to let it go into panic. If it starts to go into panic, bring yourself into where you are remembering how strong you are and remembering that you are quite solid and you do have the strength and you are able to stand up in this. So it's not really a panic situation because you won't be able to think properly or do what you need to do if you're panicking. But if you do need to move forward and this was your inspiration to do so, then definitely be doing that, but try not to bring panic into it. What isn't going to help you is we have Thurisaz, which is the rune of the challenge. This is the thorn, the giant, the gateway. It is upright in the lower line, so it's a worry about that. It's just a worry about what kind of a challenge it is, that it is a challenge in your way that you didn't realize was there. And this comes directly from that. This revelation presented you with a challenge that you really felt responsible for, that you said, I would be remiss in my life if I didn't take this on. So you are moving. You're really, really moving forward. Your spirit is carrying you forward on this. And just if you feel like this is too much, like this is too much to bear, this is too much of a burden, too much of a challenge for you, just bring yourself back up to, it's like, I am strong enough. I'm strong for this. If I'm here for anything, it's to take care of this. And this is why I am moving now. Your next step on the path line, interestingly, and what is pinning the entire reading is Raido reversed. Raido is the rune of the journey. So I'm going to read this a couple or a few ways. First of all, there's an end of a journey going on, and I'm not going to say it's the end of the journey that you just started because that wouldn't make any sense. I don't think it's that. I think what it is the end of the journey that you were on before, where you've just basically, it's like, okay, I can't continue the way I was, and I'm going to start moving. And I think this is the closure that you're doing to the you that you used to be before you realized this. It's like that's over. And it's just giving that closure and honoring that closure that is going to be your next step there, where you're laying things to rest. Like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like maybe you found out that something that you were doing was actually supporting some people that are doing horrible things. Like this is a terrible example, but I'm trying to think of a really good example. Let's do a ridiculous example. So like maybe something that you really loved to eat was actually responsible for killing like billions of butterflies. And you're like, well, I can't eat that anymore. So I'm going to say goodbye to that thing. I don't know where my good examples are today, but anyway, you'll have to deal with that. So we're just going to settle with that. Sorry, I love you. So, but anyway, that kind of thing is like you're putting closure to this, to what ended when you moved forward in this spirit, which is a much better spirit for you to be in. Moving forward quickly to make sure that you're doing this because this got revealed to you. So you definitely don't want to be killing billions of butterflies. So that. The other thing this is saying to me is that there is an inner journey component that's coming in where you are doing this internally as well as you are doing it externally with whatever you're doing externally about it. So there is a spiritual, a mental, and a psychological element to this journey that you're taking that isn't just changing, like it's not just, I'm just going to buy different things that aren't killing a billion butterflies. It's also things like getting your head around it and getting your heart in the right place and spiritually on a mythic level, bringing yourself onto this new path. So that has to happen, or else none of it's going to stick. So there is the very next step from where you are now, that's where you're going to be doing that. All those reverse things. What is going to help you? We have Ansus, which is the rune of communication and manifestation. So it's letting these things happen, expressing these things in the world, and communicating with those that you trust about what's going on, and that's going to help you a lot. It's going to help reinforce your strength, but it's also going to help you work through these things. What isn't going to help is we have Yura, which is the rune of the harvest and time. There is always, whenever Yura shows up in the lower line, it's always immediately these three things. How much time have I wasted? How little time may be left? And what do I have to show for it? So if there's something that was going on that you just realized, oh my gosh, I have to change things, or oh my gosh, now I have to do this thing that I wasn't doing before, that's going to come up where you're going to be like, why didn't I do this, 5 years ago? It's like, but you couldn't. You didn't know this until now. So you couldn't have done it 5 years ago. You weren't in the right place. You didn't know the things you needed to know. And so now you are doing them. So please try not to beat yourself up about that. Bring yourself back up to where you are expressing this new situation in the world. You are manifesting this in the world, and you are communicating with those you trust about it. Your next step on the path line, we have Kaunaz, which is the rune of the torch or the fire. It's something that starts small like an ember and goes into a blaze, and you are basically expanding from this. You're sort of starting the new chapter by honoring and closing the previous chapter, and now you're expanding on that. You're basically going, okay, now where are we? We're going to start from there. We're going to start small, and we're going to start expanding. We're going to start building. And it's expanding your field of vision within this new world that you're in, which includes this revelation and your duty to that and wanting to move forward in that. What is going to help you is make sure that you're taking care of yourself, first of all. We have Tivaz reversed. Tivaz is Tyr's rune. Tyr is the warrior god, and this has to do with, yes, driving forward on a quest, but it's also tending to duties and responsibilities. Tyr was the one who had to take care of things that had to be taken care of, sometimes to his own sacrifice. I don't see that so much, but it is in that you are ending something that was going on and doing something new. This is a reversed rune, though, on the upper line, which means inner. So you are, putting down your sword from the quest that you used to be on, and also taking care of the duties and responsibilities that you have to yourself. And definitely making sure that those are taken care of so that you can move forward and expand your field of vision moving forward in this new path that you're taking. What isn't going to help is we have Ingvaz. Ingvaz is Ing's rune. Ing is another name for Frey, and Frey is the fertility god. This has to do with active creation. There is a sense that there was a big scaffolding and set up, and everything was already built up about this old thing, and you're still remembering it, and you're still running into bits of it. The things that were set up. It's like when a society is built based on the oppression of somebody, and then you keep running into, even after we know this and we want to stop this and we're trying to dismantle that, we keep running into ways that this was the case, and it's very, very hard to take apart, even if we really, really, really want to, because it's so ingrained. And so that's the kind of thing that we're dealing with, is what we are trying to move forward from is so ingrained that we're going to be finding how it's ingrained for years and years and years to come, even if we don't want it to be. So just keep moving forward, keep expanding, keep opening out on this new path, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because you're not going to be able to do it unless you are taking care of yourself. And eventually, not too far from now, you are going to be finding yourself in new ground. You're going to be finding it with the blank rune. You're going to be finding that things will have cleared. Things will be a blanker page that you can actually start writing new things on, and you're not going to be running into this as much. A little bit. You're going to continue to run into it, but it's mostly you're just going to continue to, make sure that you're taking care of yourself and keep moving forward. But it won't be long before you are going to be finding yourself in that trackless new ground where things are going to be a little bit more malleable and things are going to be a little bit more, because like, okay, now what do we do? It is up to us and we can do that. The other thing the blank rune implies is a connection to the divine, whatever the divine is for you, to make sure that that's actually something you're also tapping into while you do that. But it's ultimately going to be a connection to a more nurturing world as you move forward. So that, card number 3, people, is your reading for what do I need to know the most right now. I wish you all the best with this, and I wish you a lovely day or evening. Take care till next time. Bye. Hello, card number 4, people. Okay, let's get started. Let me check a thing. Okay, let's just turn this and see what we have to deal with. Fire and passion. So, card number 4, people. In that he's doing the fire breathing, I'm seeing this as connected to expressing one's will in the world, and this is like, in that this is fire and passion, it's like expressing one's passions in the world. So let's get some runes down and get some clarity on the fire and the passion. Ooh, interesting. Why do 2 want to come out? Okay, there's that. Okay, that's because that wanted to go there, and that was there before in like the previous reading, which is cool. These were as well. I did mix these. Not in the same place, though. That's kind of good. Neat that that's there. Very interesting place for the blank rune. Okay. Your central issue, card number 4, people, is Avaz reversed. Avaz is the rune of the horse or the fire. Oh, no, the horse or the fire. I'm looking at the thing. It's the horse. It has to do with movement or spirit. I keep looking at the fire. So your central issue is Avaz. It's the rune of the horse. And the horse has to do with movement and spirit. It is reversed in the central issue spot. So I'm going to read this a couple ways. First of all, you may feel a bit mired, and this is probably why you want to focus on this. You may feel like you're not moving forward the way that you want to. But at the same time, this is your invitation to delve and start like galloping internally, letting your spirit carry you internally, because you have to find that so that it can bring you out. But right now you seem to be like just kicking, and you're not moving forward the way that you want to. What led up to this? We have Pertho reversed. Pertho's the rune of the lot box. This has to do with surprises and fate. Reversed, I'm going to read this a couple ways. First of all, there may have been an unpleasant revelation to you recently, which is what led you to not being able to move forward and maybe not finding your passion anymore, not being able to tap into that to move forward and gallop forward with anymore. Maybe something came up that surprised you, but that was always the case and you didn't realize it was. And now you're like, how can I move forward with this? You've lost your flame, and you're kind of like, you're sort of mired, and you feel like you're straining, but you can't move forward. The other thing this is, that Pertho reversed generally has to say is, it's a revelation about yourself. Something has come up that has, and maybe it was an unpleasant surprise, but something has come up to reveal something about yourself that has stopped you in your tracks. And you basically is like, I have to deal with this. I have to work with this, because right now I'm not going to move forward, because I don't know what to do with this. It's too much. I'm just kicking in the air. What is going to help you? We have Uruz, which is the rune of the wild ox. This has to do with strength and health and resistance and stubbornness. And so what is going to help you is just reminding yourself that you are strong. Even if you're not able to move forward at the moment, you still have that inherent strength. You are able to weather things, and you have before. Uruz is also a very solar animal, and so, because it's an ox, it's the old ox. And so there is a sense of like, stand and replenish in the sun kind of thing. The sun is coming, but just in terms of in this moment where you're not moving, it's like, that's fine. Let's not move then. If I'm not moving, then let's not. Let's stand and be strong, because that's something we can do. Like dig our hooves into the ground where we are and just stand strong in all of this, and just let our spirit find ourselves and start carrying ourselves internally again, so that we can then bring that externally a little bit later. But just like, let's reconnect with ourselves. It's like shaking up a jar of things, and you have to wait for the jar of things to settle before it's clear again. Or, muddied water, which is a lot more natural. And you just have to wait for that to settle. before you can see through the water again. What isn't going to help is that this is a challenge. You're looking at a new world with this revelation in it. And the door is open to it, but you're very worried about acknowledging that as your new reality and stepping through it. So we have 3 Zaz, which is the Rune of the Thorn, the Giant, the Gateway, and it is a challenge that you're worried about because it's in the lower line. And based on this, you're like, this happens, this is real in the world, whether this is something that's unpleasant and was a surprise but was always there, or whether this is something that is true about yourself that you didn't realize and is now, you can't move forward in the world without acknowledging that, and you can't ignore it, basically. You can't ignore either of these things, whether it was something unpleasant that you didn't realize was the case, or something about yourself that you didn't realize was the case. And either way, the world now contains that. You can't ignore it. And that's why you've been feeling stuck, because you feel like if you move forward into that world, then you have to accept the truth of that world. And part of you wants to cling to that ignorance, which you can't do. So the reminder that the runes are giving you is that you are strong. You are able to weather this. This is not something that you can't handle. This is something that you are strong enough to handle. And I know it's thrown you for a loop and you feel like knocked off your feet, but you do have hooves on the ground. You can be still until all of this settles. Your next step on the path line, and what's pinning the entire reading right in the middle of it, is the blank rune. So it is a new world. It is a new world for you. Now that you have taken that step over the threshold, and you are accepting that this is truth, which it is, that's just come through. So you're standing on this new ground, and you may feel a little lost, and you may feel like things are a little bit murky and misty because you've never thought of the world that way before. The other thing the blank rune implies is a connection to the divine, whatever the divine is for you. So this is a good time to do that. It's like whatever is the divine for you, whether that is deity or nature or higher self or the universe or any of that, to connect with that, have that connection. But you are on new ground now because you are working towards hopefully assimilating and integrating the truth that you've just experienced that knocked you off your feet. What is going to help you? We have Funyo reversed. Funyo is the rune of joy. I'm going to read this a couple ways. First of all, acknowledge where you are discontented about this. Face where you are unhappy about this, because this is where the work needs to be done. You need to ask yourself, why does this make me uncomfortable? Because this is truth, and this is basically this is what we have to work with. This is what is. So why does this bother me? And this is something like where you sort of apply that. Can I accept it? Can I change it if I can't accept it? That kind of thing. But also to remind yourself, you carry with you what will always give you joy that nobody can take from you. So to connect with that, to give you that energy and immunity to things that inner joy will give you. So make sure that you're connecting to that, but definitely acknowledge and address and honor the things that are making you feel discontented about the situation that you're looking at with this new reality in the world that you didn't realize was already the reality in the world. Definitely tap into your deep inner joy, but also acknowledge and really face the things that are making you uncomfortable with this new world that is a new world for you, but it was the real world for real already that you only just realized. What isn't going to help you is we have Nauthiz reversed. Nauthiz is the rune of need. Reversed, well, it always means tend to your needs, but when it's reversed, it means drop everything and tend to your needs. So there is going to be a sense of, it's like that with any paradigm shift and where you have to let go of your ignorance in a thing. There is going to be this sense of emergency where things aren't the way that I'm used to and that were keeping me comfortable. So I feel like I want to kill and destroy the things that have encroached upon my field of vision, that have changed things so that I can go back to what I had before. It's like, no, that's... You may feel like there is an emergency because you do have to let things settle and integrate the new reality, which is your new reality and was already the reality. But you're not going to do that by shutting it out or ignoring it. It's actually something that, let's work with that, let's deal with that. And even if it's something where you realize it's something that you have no control over, and so it's not something that you really have to worry about. It's like finding out that something is going on in the world that doesn't affect you, that you don't like, or that makes you go, eh. But it doesn't affect you, and it doesn't harm you, and it doesn't harm anybody. And it's like, you know what? I don't like that it's going on, but it doesn't affect me. And it doesn't affect anybody, and it doesn't harm anybody, and people are enjoying it, so let them have that. So there may be some aspect of that going on. But where, you may feel like you may feel like I have to deal with this, I have to do something about this. If there are things that are like that you genuinely are in the position where you need to deal with it, bring yourself back up to this. Tap into your deep inner joy. Make sure that you have that to bolster you. And then face these things one at a time and go, okay, what are these things? Make a list that are upsetting me about this. Why is this making me feel discontented? And start working through them. Excuse me. Your next step on the path line, we have Sovilo, which is the rune of the sun. And I see this really as where you start to reconnect with your passion, with your fire. Because this is your source energy. So once you've worked through this dark night of the soul, this patch of ground which is like murky but also new, you're going to remember that you do have these things that always energize you, that always replenish you, and that always keep you nourished. So we have Sovilo, which is the sun. And that's what you're going to be doing at that step. What is going to help you with that is take care of the things that need to be taken care of. Maintain balance and tend to your duties and responsibilities. We have Tivaz, which is Tyr's rune. Tyr's the warrior god. He does have to do with driving forward, but he also has to do with taking care of what needs to be taken care of. Just take care of the things that need to be taken care of, and that's going to clear the path for you. That's going to clear the clutter so that you will be able to have access to the things that are nurturing you and that are nourishing you, and giving you the energy you need to move forward. What isn't going to help you is this is not the time to stop the flow. We have Laguz, which is the rune of emotion, intuition, heart, and flow. It's the water. So actually, I'm going to read this a couple ways. There are negative emotions still left over from Nauthiz, where everything feels like an emergency. So there is still that might drag you down, sort of like almost a resentment of this new thing in your world, but that could drag you down. It could lead to unpleasant emotions and just feeling like you want to stop the flow of things going forward. You can't stop the flow of time. You can't stop the river that is moving forward and the things that are happening in it. You can't. And you might want to, but you can't. So bring yourself back up to, this is why you're taking care of what you need to take care of, so that in your space, you are making things as good as you can. You're controlling what you have control over. And then this will clear the clutter and let your fire to continue to carry you forward. And here you are carrying forward. We have Raido, which is the journey rune. And so you are resuming the journey that you sort of ended when this surprise happened. It's like, okay, I am okay with this now. I've worked through my problems with it. I've connected with the divine, whatever the divine is for me. And I have reconnected with my source energy. And I'm taking care of what needs to be taken care of. And I am moving forward now. It doesn't mean these things aren't going to happen. It doesn't mean these things aren't going to drag you down if they do happen, because these are temptations or they are just things that might happen. These are always the antidotes. Remember how strong you are. Find your deep inner joy and also address discontentments. See if there's anything you can do about them, or see why they are bothering you. And take care of what needs to be taken care of. You're connecting with your source energy, and you're going to move forward, and things will move forward. It won't be the way it was, but it will be you moving forward with renewed fire and passion. So that, card number 4, people, is your reading for what do I need to know the most right now. I wish you all the best with this, and I wish you a lovely day or evening. Take care till next time. Bye.